Oh, it's beef time, baby, and I'm getting fucking sick of this shit, dude. What is this matchmaking? Why? Why do we need to see Volkanovski versus Yair Rodriguez 2? I don't really get it, especially when you consider the fact that Volkanovski's last title defense as featherweight champion during his first reign was literally a fucking dominant finish over Yair Rodriguez. Since then, Yair has won, one single fight? Over midget old man Patricio Pitbull, of all people, making his debut in the UFC. Once again, I'm sure that's a talking point that's been brought up ad nauseum, but it has to be said because it is that ridiculous. It really is that ridiculous. Yair Rodriguez may be one of the most privileged fighters in the UFC. Everyone talks about Dana White privilege. This man has Dana White privilege. Now, I think it has a lot to do with the fact that the 145-pound division is rather, stagnant at the moment. So I guess conceivably you could, reach for those grapes, as Tito Ortiz would say, and choose Yair Rodriguez, because when you look at the 145-pound landscape, there aren't actually a whole lot of rightful contenders, right? Diego Lopez just had his shot. Brian Ortega is still up there in the mix somehow after all these years. Like, just remove him from the rankings altogether, right? Lerone Murphy's not getting a title shot, and if he does, he's getting dog-walked by Volkanovski. Jean Silva's not quite there yet, but, considering the landscape of 145, just one more win for Jean Silva should put him in title contention. But aside from Yair, the only other title challenger that makes sense is Movsar Evloev, who should be fighting Volkanovski, right? Should be. So tell me why exactly. Movsar Evloev is apparently booked to fight Aaron Pico. Now, this was a rumored matchup a few weeks ago. I think this was rumored, but now it's all but confirmed at this point to be happening in Abu Dhabi. But whether you like Movsar Evloev or not, you have to respect the fact that he's willing to fight anybody at this point. He's taking Aaron Pico on his debut when he has no reason to do so. He should be in prime position, right? After victories over Aljamain Sterling and Arnold Allen back-to-back, you should be in prime position to be fighting for the title. Volkanovski was campaigning for that fight as well, and it makes no sense to make any other fight at 145 right now. Nothing makes more sense than Movsar versus Volk. Now, there's this tweet from Movsar, and I have to say, like, the fact that he's not going at Volkanovski for this at all, and he's quite gracious, right? He's quite gracious, quite graceful in this moment, so I have to give him a lot of respect for the way he's handled it, because he's only ever conducted himself, the way I see it, man, kind of like a gentleman, and I do have to give him credit for that. I do, right? He's not a loudmouth. He's really earning his spot, and he kind of is like the 145-pound version of Merab, right? He's constantly denied his shot until he gets it, and then he stakes his claim, and he shows everyone why he should have always been the one to fight for the title in the first place. And unfortunately for Movsar, he is, in a division where Volkanovski is the champion, and I do think Volkanovski is a nightmare matchup for someone like Evloev. So I'm not saying that Evloev will dethrone Volkanovski if they were to fight, because I don't believe that. I still think that Volkanovski goes out there and does some nasty things to Evloev, but it doesn't change the fact that he should be fighting for the title in the first place. But what does another win over Yair do for Volk? And I think Volk sees it as well. Like, I don't actually think that Volk wants to fight Yair again. It doesn't make sense. There's a reason why he's calling specifically, or why he was calling specifically for Movsar, because we all know, right? We can all see it. Movsar is an undefeated fighter, clearly the number one contender, whether he's ranked number one or not. He's the number one contender, and Volk sees that as well. He can take that O, and this win over Movsar would be infinitely better for his legacy than a win over Yair if he goes out there and he defends once again against Yair. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit. I won't even recognize that as a title defense, because this fucking clown Yair should not even be in there in the first place. It is ridiculous. The man got submitted by Brian Ortega in 2024. That right there should eliminate you from title contention for eternity, in my opinion. That might be harsh, but I don't give a fuck. But let's just compare the recent rap sheet of both of these individuals right here. With Movsar Evloev, you have a whole lot of canceled bouts, but you just compare what he's done to what Yair has done, right? Movsar's win over Diego Lopez, right? Since that fight over Diego Lopez, Diego has been extremely active and has beaten all comers aside from Alexander Volkanovski himself. So that win ages exceptionally well for Evloev, and it was a great fight, right? Arnold Allen, another very, very fun fight. It was close, of course. I know people like to take away from Movsar and say, oh, Arnold Allen got robbed. No, I think Movsar deserved to win the fight, and it was a good fight, right? And he showed better hands than I'm used to seeing from Movsar Evloev in that fight too. He looked pretty good there. And against Aljamain Sterling, it was a great contest between two super high-level grapplers. We saw amazing scrambles in that fight. And even though it was very close, you can still give that fight to Movsar Evloev. But the fact is that he's picking up wins against elite competition. Compare that to the recent resume of Yair Rodriguez, right? A very good fight with Max Holloway. Great war. It was a great war, but he lost the fight clearly. Beats Brian Ortega because Brian Ortega gets hurt. Submits Josh Emmett, and he was very dominant in that fight, right? He deserved that fight. It was a great stylistic matchup for Yair, right? The little stocky bulldog of a fighter against the long, rangy kicking specialist in Yair. Of course, Josh Emmett's going to lose that fight. Then loses his title shot in dominant fashion to Alexander Volkanovski before getting submitted by Brian Ortega in 2024. Like I said, that in and of itself should just eliminate you from title contention. I know I already said that. I have to reiterate. And then, okay, he beat, like I said, the midget fucking Patricio Pitbull making his debut. And he's like in his late 30s, dude. He's in his late 30s. He was always going to lose that fight, dude. But he wins that fight, starts doing interviews with Ariel Helwani, talking crazy, right? Everyone was laughing at him. Yeah, you don't deserve it. Yeah, you're not getting the title shot. You're crazy.
Just curious, obviously you know about Movsar and the streak that he's on. What do you say to someone who says he's won 9 in a row, he should get a crack at the belt first?
Man, I don't know. The only thing that I can tell you is that a fight against Volkanovski makes sense for me. I don't want to talk about like Movsar or whatever. He's an incredible fighter. He's a dangerous opponent, and he's coming from a win streak,
Oh, man. It's the only word, man. It's the only word I can say in the Mexican accent. Whenever I do Mexican accent, I'm actually doing a George St. Pierre accent. I'm going to have to brush up on it, then we'll circle back, and I'll give you guys a Yair impression at some point. But as things stand, I can't do it without sounding French-Canadian. So let's just move on, though. Like, this mentality that Yair Rodriguez shares right here. So he knows. Movsar Evloev is brought up. He understands that Movsar deserves to fight for the title, but this entitled, little whiny bitch, man. And I hate calling fighters bitches because I feel like I'm acting like MMA Joey at that point. But this is the whiniest and most entitled motherfucker in the sport. He has to be, dude. You win one singular fight, and then Movsar Evloev, the guy who's on whatever amount of fights he has, where he's on that win streak, 9-fight win streak in the UFC or some shit like that. Man, I don't want to talk about that because
now, what I hear from the UFC, you only have to come from a win. And Volkanovski and I had a background fighting, for the belt. I wasn't able to come with a win, but this time I'm pretty sure I will be able to come with a win.
Man, imagine that. Like this is just like sheer mental gymnastics to justify yourself deserving a title shot. Like to say that you have a history with Volkanovski where you got your shit fucking kicked in and got completely dog walked, and that like with one of the most beautiful mixed martial arts finishes I've ever witnessed from Volkanovski, right? The check right hook, I believe it was, walks you down, pieces you up, rips to the body, double leg, ragdolls you, ground and pound finish. Just a thing of beauty, just technical, fucking surgical MMA from Volkanovski on your ass. And he was a bit threatening with the kicks. He came close with the kicks a few times, but it really had nothing for Volkanovski the entire fight. So yeah, you have history with him, as in you fought him before, and you got dog walked by him, and then got submitted by Brian Ortega, and then he beat a midget. Yay, he beat an old fucking midget on his debut. Yay, dude, you only have to come from a win. Doesn't matter who that win's over, right? It doesn't matter. You just have to come from a win.
The incident, or if you want to call it an incident, the shouting match between you and Diego on Thursday only really made people want to see that fight more. You know how that works, right? You see two fighters going toe-to-toe. And so how will you react if they come to you and say, look, you guys did such a great job of getting people to talk about you two fighting each other, even though you weren't fighting each other, and it seems very personal. We want to make this fight for Mexico. How would you react if they come to you with that?
I mean, all of that started obviously because he wanted to like point it that I was coming from a loss, and I'll repeat that to him. Now he's the one coming from a loss. He needs to earn his opportunity to fight for the title or for whoever contention. And I'm now the one coming from a win, and I deserve a title shot.
Bitch made, completely bitch made mentality for a fighter to have. You have a beef that we're able to witness live between you and Diego Lopez, where you call him all types of names, inflammatory bullshit, accuse him of this and that, of beating up on your own training partner, and or something like that. I don't actually remember what the beef stemmed from, but he was calling him a name and accusing him of being a piece of shit and jumping somebody or something like that. I don't remember. Please let me know in the comment section below. But you have this beef, and the perfect setup, by the way, right? Volkanovski beats Diego Lopez. You beat Patricio Pitbull. You finally have a victory on the record, right? In 3 fights, Yair, you finally have a victory. And now you believe that you're in prime position to strong-arm Diego Lopez because he now has a loss against Volkanovski, who he actually went to decision with, right? And actually dropped Volkanovski and had moments where he could have won the fight, unlike yourself, who got completely babied in there and ragdolled and pieced up, right? But no, you have that one win, though, right? Diego Lopez has been infinitely more active than you, fought everyone put in front of him, right? Finishes, brutal finishes here and there, really earned his way to the title. But now, he's coming off a loss, once again, against Volkanovski, of all people. You know what I mean? There's only 2 losses against Evloev and Volkanovski in the UFC, right? But now he has to earn a shot to fight for contention or fight for a title shot. But you, the guy who has that one win, you have that one win that the UFC, wants from you. So now you can strong-arm Diego Lopez like a little bitch, despite the fact that you guys beefed and you should be campaigning to fight him if you were a fucking man. And unfortunately, he isn't. And I know it sounds rich. I'm not trying to say that he isn't a man. I get it. He's a professional fighter. He's a bad dude. But I'm just saying that this mentality, this entitled bullshit is completely fucking ridiculous. And the fact that Dana White and the UFC and the matchmakers are giving Yair what he wants despite being a whiny little bitch is crazy. And it just completely flies in the face of all merit altogether. Further delegitimizes the UFC as a legitimate organization where the best fight the best. This is just a further step down, and I personally don't give a shit. This to me is just as stupid. Sorry, not just as stupid. That's actually disrespectful to Sean O'Malley, because Sean O'Malley at least picked up some wins, and his one loss in recent memory is against Merab Dvalishvili. Okay, and he actually had a title defense. Yair's never had a belt and has no real elite wins to even point to and say, yeah, he did do well against that guy, though, so maybe he should. No, there's just no logical reason to be giving Yair Rodriguez the title shot, aside from the fact that you want any Mexican fighter to fight for a title in Mexico. Oh, God, just give Irene Aldana the title shot against Juliana Pena, man, and I'd be a lot happier with that than this shit, just because of how whiny Yair is. This man is so entitled. It's just so ridiculous, man. This dude does nothing but piss me off. But it is what it is, and I will be hate watching the shit out of that main event, hoping and praying that Volkanovski finishes him in even more brutal fashion than he did the first time. And that's what I'm predicting early, of course. But don't give a shit. But if you guys are excited for the fight, give me your thoughts on the fight in the comment section below. Whatever your thoughts are in the video itself, whatever. Let me know your thoughts. Anyway, I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one.